Hi everyone, welcome back to the next video in this series. Now we are going to be shooting this kitchen here. And I'll go ahead and start a video here so you can see what I got. Here is the kitchen scene. Very simple, very, white walls, white cabinets, all that good stuff. Nice window right there. And we're just shooting a nice, simple, straight on shot for this example here. For our ambient, I'm looking at just a bit more right there, like 1 1/3. And then we're probably still good on the 160. Yeah, I might actually, as you can see, there's some ambient light still coming in from the lights up there. It looks a little brighter on this camera here, on the phone camera. So I'm gonna just lower it to 200, and we'll run with 200 here. So yeah, let's go ahead and start shooting this. Okay, so like I said, we're gonna do 1 1/3 for the ambient. Let's make sure we have our flash trigger on. And we're gonna go ahead and just take this shot. Okay, now we switch over to our second mode here. We'll start at 1/4, I might need to go higher. There is a good chance that I'll be reflecting in that window, but if we're doing window pulls, it won't matter. So let's start at 1/4 right overhead. Okay, as you can see, we're good right up until we hit like the fridge and the sink in there, and then we start to get darker. We're not necessarily blowing out the details here in front, so I'm gonna up my flash to 1/4.7, do the same thing. Okay, now we're starting to get pretty bright in here, but as you can see, the actual kitchen itself is dark in the inside there. So I'm gonna go ahead and walk in. Okay, I did about 1/4 right there. Go over to the other side, do the same thing, just bouncing it off the ceiling. Okay, now these look pretty good. All we really need for these is we're gonna gradient blend them like I showed in my first Flambient video, and just blend them together, and then we'll turn it into screen modes to brighten up the interior there. So now obviously we need to do something about the windows, so let's go ahead, pop on over to our window mode right here. Now I can blast it straight on, but I'm definitely gonna get a glare right there in the front, not great. But it could work for the sides. I just need to fix the middle. So let me up the power here. Make sure I'm definitely blasting that. Okay, that looks fine. Now if I come in at an angle, okay, that's pretty good. Let me get one more from the other angle just in case I'm getting any weird stuff going on in some of the windows there. Now, what you can do, you can turn off your flash, take a backup shot. This could be a repair shot, whatever you need to use it for. I find if you have blinds, sometimes it's not exactly helpful. I've never actually used these for much unless I've had the blinds all the way up and the windows are perfectly clean. But in this situation, I think we're good with the window pulls we have. Let's jump into Photoshop, Lightroom, and edit this. Okay, here we are back in Lightroom after shooting this kitchen. If you have not seen it yet, please go watch the first video in this series. It covers a lot of the essentials both in shooting and in the editing process. And we built some presets and actions in that video that we're going to utilize here. And so if you have not seen that video on how to build these actions and what they do, please go check it out. There should be a link to the playlist in the pinned comment down below. So yeah, as you can see, here are the images we shot. There's the ambient. Here is our flash. That's a little too low, so we upped it a bit. And then we come in here for the fill. Flash is there. This was shot ISO 320 f7.1 1/200th of a second. So our exterior here actually isn't too bad, and I think that we're going to run into some issues with our window pulls a little bit down the line here. As you can see, for whatever reason, these windows just took this light in a really strange way. I probably should have reshot these because we get this very strange kind of magenta looking color bouncing off of, I don't know where it's coming from, honestly. It might be partially from the floor. Hard to say. But yeah, I don't know if these window pulls are going to look all that good. We're going to try them out, and if they don't work, we can actually rely on these fill flash layers here to get a decent looking window, I think. So we'll see what we can do here. So in the develop tab, I'm gonna go ahead and select everything but the flash, the window pulls, hit it with my import preset, and then do the same over here with the window pulls, set these here. Like I said, we might not use these, so it might not matter. I'm also gonna lower the highlights on these just by 25, just because the exterior view here wasn't looking that great. So this looks a tad better than it did before, but like I said, we won't know until we blend, so it's good to just have some thoughts going into the edit to save ourselves time so we're not floundering later. So yeah, here's our ambient. I think that the color looks just fine here. I'll hit P to pick it. We go over here. I'm going to select all of our flash layers. And then choosing the good looking one here, let's hit W. We'll pick our white balance. So we're starting at 4500, 19 tint. What does it go to? It warms up for sure. I think it's going to happen clicking on most any of this white in here. It was a fairly warm room. Also, the color bouncing off from the wood is going to be a factor too. So I know it wasn't this warm. It was probably closer to this. And yeah, I might go with this. What will we start at? 4500? That seems pretty reasonable to me, I think. And lowering the tint to 16 also has kind of fixed some of it. And if you remember from earlier in the video, I pointed out that we definitely were getting some orange from these lights on these cabinets, and even at ISO 320 f7.1 200th of a second, we definitely are still getting this ambient light from the lights here, and we can fix that with a color layer if we so desire very easily. So yeah, this is going to be our main flash layer here. Let's take a look at it. Do I want to boost it? Maybe like just a bit, not by much. I'm gonna go 0.1 on that. And then for these fill flashes here, we look over on this side and then on this side, and they can definitely use a boost. 0.2 or 0.3 maybe. We'll go with a 0.3. And these are definitely getting a bit of the color bounced from the wood down here up to here. So we definitely are probably going to want to lean on a color fix layer, or like a color fill layer or place color layer, and we'll probably sample from like this right here. Is probably a really good indication of the true color of the cabinets. So these are looking good. Yeah, okay, decent window views. Those could be serviceable. Not great, but not terrible either. I might actually just, if I know I'm going to use these possibly for an exterior view, I might lower the highlights by to 75, because I boosted this by 30 there. Like if I were to have this at 0, yeah, that's not a terrible window view. Not terrible. So let's bring that back to 30. Okay, now these guys here, like I said, I don't know, man. There's some color going on there. And realistically, I should have probably actually gone further into the room and blasted it with less light, is how I should have done this. And that's part of the learning process here, right? Like, I'm not going to act like I know everything here. I at least know I have some backup opportunities with these fill flashes here, and that'll do the job just fine. It's not an amazing view. It's just a front yard with a house out there, so it doesn't have to be like this, crazy, like, oh, it's a dark, vibrant scene outside. It's like, that's largely unnecessary most of the time. Anyway, so let's at least see if we can get some options here. So this is probably for the middle, a good option for the middle view right there. And then which is better for the sides? Probably this one. Probably that one. Okay, and I can actually, I'm just going to try something ahead of time. I'm going to come down here, go to saturation, and see what color this thinks it is. It does think it's a magenta, so if I click and drag that down, that fixes it pretty good, just lowering the magenta all the way. Makes it look more like just the white right there. So we might be able to use the window pools as my voice cracks. Okay, so with all of our layers selected here, I did not pick those right there. We do right click, open as layers, or edit in, open as layers in Photoshop like normal. Okay, here we have all of the layers loaded into Photoshop. Everything looks good there. Okay, so before we do any blending, I'm just going to turn this layer off. While I'm on this layer, I'm going to hit I for the eyedropper, take a point sample. Let's do a 3x3 average. Sample current layer, please. And I'm just going to click on this, and we'll get like a good looking sample here of probably right there for the true color of the cabinets. So we have that in our swatch right there. Okay, now turn that off. Hit this with a layer mask to blend these. G for gradient. You know, normal stuff here. We did this previously. Very easy. I definitely way warm back there because of all the stuff bouncing off the wood, but we can fix that and mitigate it a little bit here. Oh, also, before I blend those, I'm actually going to let's do Control J on those, and we'll do Control G to put them in a group, and I'll turn that group off, and we'll use it again later, possibly for the windows if we need them. But I'll save it there, and I'll show you the process even if we don't need them. Okay, so these we merge, we put it above the normal flash pop down here, set it to screen, bring it down, and then looking at the dark part of the kitchen, we raise the opacity until we see a good amount of light. And yet again, like I said, 50% seems to be good. Hold Alt, layer mask, B for brush. White is the foreground color. We just paint in the darker parts here, like so. Dum da da dum dum dum. Easy peasy. You could up the flow if you want this part to go faster. However, you lose a bit of control when you do that. If you're using maybe like a Wacom tablet, you might still be able to maintain that control a bit better with a faster flow, but I just kind of like to have it a bit slower so that I can control it easier. So there we go. Merge those two down. I can turn the ambient back on. Let's go ahead and run our basic Flambient blend action. And there you go. Not too bad. As you can see, definitely more orange back here, but we can fix that. Also, I'm actually going to, no, I don't need to do it because we still have this layer here, which I'm going to use to sample the wall color as well, because we'll probably need to fix that for the ceiling and the walls in the back. So let's take a look at the windows and see. Oh, this is slightly unaligned. You see that? Interesting. Okay. Interesting. So, what I'm actually going to do here is I'm gonna repair this real fast. Look at me talking about not needing to use an aligned thing. Okay, so with all of that in mind, I'm actually going to take all of these layers out and delete that. I turned this back to normal. Control, do all those. Auto align layers. Real-time problem solving. Let's see if this fixes it. Okay. Yep, that looks good. That looks better. This one might be a bit off. Oh, it might be okay. All right, I think that's fine. We're gonna have these transparent edges around the frame there. I will just go ahead and go into canvas size and go to percent, and we'll just do like 99.99. It'll clip, but then we don't have any transparent edges there. So, okay, interesting. The more you know. So let me turn this back into luminosity. I could have just like started over with I have a flash action that is basic Flambient with an alignment. But I just wanted to show you that process if you were in the middle of an edit and you didn't, you realize like, oh, it's out of align. Well, let's just pull everything out, set it to normal blend mode, make sure your layer masks are turned off, and then just hit auto align and shrink the canvas a little bit, and you will be right as rain. Okay, so this should look better now. Yeah, that's fine. That's just fine. Okay, so what was I in the process of doing here? The window pulls? I believe so. So we got this one here, which is for the sides. So Control F4 is my my shortcut for my own window pull action up here. And let's see what result we get when we do that. I'll do Shift. I can let go of Shift now. So I'm selecting these two windows here. All right. How does that look? I don't know. Okay, let's do this one here. See what this gives us. Whoops. 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 Hold on. Okay. Sometimes you just hit the wrong button. I mean, it's not terrible. It just is a little, it's definitely a little weird. It's kind of dark in some ways. I don't know, but we'll leave that as it is. And now what we can do is, so our main issue here is like if we wanted to erase the ambient from these to make them darker, we could do that, but I'm in the shot with the flash reflection. However, I am not in the shot here or here. So these are good candidates to actually like paint in over the top of our normal flash layer here. So I'm going to do the same thing again, actually. I'm just going to use a gradient to blend these both together to make it a little bit more seamless. Okay, we merge that down. We turn this flash layer back on. I'll put this one over top. I'm not changing the blend mode. Hold Alt. And now I'm going to go in and just like paint in this fix layer here. I'm just using it as a fix layer. I'll just paint myself out of the actual image. Like so. I'll just kind of hit all the windows just to make sure that we're getting all the benefits of the repair here. Yeah, and with this soft brush, like I don't even really see any color issues. It's like a little bit brighter back there, but I mean, it could stand to be a bit brighter, honestly. It's a little alcove. So yeah, I think that could do the job just fine, really. It looks a bit more natural, and it's like the sky is kind of bright, but honestly, who kind of cares? And we could even use just part, like this part right here of the window pull, maybe brighten it up a little bit. So yeah, now that we've done that, I'm going to take this fixed area and just merge it down with this. And now we have a much easier way of handling this here. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and do an object selection tool. Should be pretty easy to select all of these windows. Holding Shift every time. Okay, and now I'm just going to go over the ambient layer mask. I'm going to do Control Shift F12 for my 90% black fill. And I think that's fine. Allow me to, I'm going to just turn this group on and hit it with a black mask and see if I can just kind of brush in only the sky up here. Look at that. Look at that. That does the trick. And then I can just kind of slowly fade that out. Look at that. See, that's using all parts of the buffalo there, ladies and gentlemen. We do have the bright reflection in the window, but I mean that you get that regardless when you have bright stuff in the background. So I think that works just fine. I'm going to hit that with a flatten, and we're going to move on to the next phase here. That's the thing, is you can't just sit here and fret about it unless you're being paid by the hour. That's really the way you need to look at it. Get these images done, keep them moving. So let's do a color fill layer at 75%. I'm going to fill it with the swatch that I took earlier. And I'm going to go ahead and just select the cabinets. Let's see how it does here. That's not bad. I should fix it right here. Real quick, hold Alt. Just to subtract this little chunk that it got up there. We don't need that. Okay, now let's see if it can do the same over here. We'll hold Shift. Select just the cabinets, please, brother. Not bad. Not bad. Can I do Alt and do that? Don't get that. Nice. Okay. And then we will... I'm just going to go in and subtract that part out manually. Okay. We have to add a little bit extra here, but that's okay. All right. And if you want to get like really anal retentive about it, you can hold Alt and come in here and get rid of the knobs. Knob. Carl Pilkington. All right. Okay. And so I'm not going to hit delete and just completely fill it. I'm going to paint it in where I see fit. Okay. That's not bad. That's not bad. All right, Control D. Does that look good enough to me? Yeah, that's fine in my book. So let's hit that with a flatten there. I was supposed to keep the other layer for the color information here, but I know that this and this is a better example of the color of the ceiling and walls than over here. So we'll do the same thing again. This here. Okay, now, if I do Control Shift D, it's not bringing back my old selection, which is unfortunate. So I'll see if I can recreate it without too much headache. That I'm really just looking for the ceiling and the walls to not be affected here. So I'm selecting the stuff I don't want to paint, and then I will invert the selection. Is how this is working here. Okay. These. No. This. It's not super smart yet. Computers won't take over our lives just yet. A few more days. Okay. That looks fine. Yeah, and I can paint around everything, I think, easily enough. So Control Shift I to invert the selection. Now I'm selecting everything but those things. Come in with the brush. And let's fix the ceiling and the walls with all of this orange light. Even with some flash helping us out for color, we still have to use color correction sometimes to help our images out a little bit. Just kind of very loosely getting around some of these parts. Okay. Okay. Now the thing is, like, you have to ask, does that look real, fake? Maybe I want to lower this to 65%, just keep a bit of that warmness in there. It's a big difference though, you see that? All right, that's not bad. I'm gonna go with that. Let me flatten this. I know that there was this was a rental technically, so there was a tiny little like garage door opener here. So can I just use the remove tool on this easily enough? Sure. I don't like these shadows that the remove tool gives you sometimes, and then you try to erase it and it just screws up the frickin' line. Alright, I'm not going to worry too much about that. I say as I zoom out and it drives me a little bit crazy. Alright, that's fine. No one will see that. So we'll take a quick look, make sure, like, do we see the camera in the reflection? I don't. I don't even see, like, my head or anything. Granted, it was kind of like a window pull, but the ambient didn't seem to have my head at all. Everything else looks fine, I think. I could have probably taken more of the warm color out of here, but that's all right. So save, Control S, Control W. We're back in here. Post blend bump, click. That's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. I might take out an extra, like, 5 on the orange and 10 on the yellow. That's better. That looks a little crisper. Can I up that to -10, -20? -15. There we go. So that just kind of cleaned it up without cooling it off. People like to think, like to assume like, oh, it's too warm, I need to lower the white balance. Like, don't reach for that. Try this instead. But yeah, that's pretty solid. Still right of the histogram. I might actually boost this like a little bit more, like 0.25. I think that's quite nice. And then as per usual, constrained crop, I like to put +5 on the distortion there, and then we'll hit it with a vertical. That seems to do it okay. There is some discoloration down here now that I'm seeing that. And sometimes that stuff doesn't quite show up until you hit it with your post-blend bump, and then it really comes through. Like in this instance, I could just show you, edit in Photoshop, edit original, then it'll pop back up in here, and like it's a super easy fix to just come in and be like, okay, color fill layer, click, we want it to look like that, okay. Mask, and then we're on white, and then whoops, nope, we're on the remove tool. Cancel. B for brush, please. And then it's just like, you know, loosely painted in. If you get a tiny bit on the counter, who cares? Who cares? If you don't really notice it looking at it, then who will, right? So like that more or less takes care of it, I think. Yeah. All right. Flatten, save. It's gone, and now it's back. There it is. Easy. So yeah, this is the kitchen done. Looks nice and bright and inviting. That's the nice thing about utilizing Flash, not only for the color, but for the brightness. Because when you lighten up areas with Flash, you're affecting like the color, and then you put the ambient over top, and it just has this really nice kind of dreamy quality to it. Really dig it. With an image like this, that's like a lot of whites, like a, you know, very clean white walls or white cabinets, you can sometimes push the contrast up a bit more than you normally would and get some nice punch on the white. Sometimes even up in the actual whites themselves, like by 5 or 10 can be good too. Little bright now. But yeah, have fun with it. Mess around with like, just see what you can get away with and what looks good. But also like, don't go so overboard for your own ego or your own portfolio or, you know, artistic integrity or whatever. Because like, these are products that we're selling. They do have artistic merit, but also at the end of the day, they need to accurately represent the property in as inviting of a way, yet as authentic of a way as possible. So keep all that in your head when you're shooting and editing. But there we go. There is the kitchen done. I will see you guys in video 3.